Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Like Claire said, my name is Megan Burke and I'm the Director of Student Transition. Excuse me. I'm here at Arkansas Tech. And so among other things, orientation is one of the things I do, but I also help out with our first generation student programming. So I am excited that so many of you have joined us today to either learn what first gen is and or to be able to connect with other first generation students. By a sign of thumbs up or thumbs down, how many of you guys know specifically the definition of what a first generation student is? Thumbs up, kind of some in the middle, some down. All right, awesome. A first generation student means that you are the first in your immediate family between you and your parents that is going to be going to college. So if your parents did not graduate from a four-year institution, then that means that you are a first generation student. So if your sister went or your brother, aunt and uncle, anything, it doesn't matter. That's awesome that they went and that's awesome that you have that example. But if your parents did not graduate from college, then that makes you a first gen student. So if that applies to you, that's awesome. We're excited that you're here. If it doesn't apply to you, feel free to stay and learn about all of these resources. I'm assuming that all of you kind of had a general idea of what first gen is, and that's the reason why you're joining us. So that's really awesome. A lot of times as a first generation student, it's kind of overwhelming that you can't look to your parents and say, hey mom, how do I do this? Dad, can you help me with this application? Because they've never done it before. Maybe sometimes you have, like I said, an aunt or an uncle, but usually you're having to reach outside of your immediate family to find those resources. Maybe that's a high school counselor, maybe that's the admissions counselor here at ATU. So we definitely want to kind of help you process some of this information and give you some of the tips and tricks that we've learned over the years when working with first generation students to kind of help you out. A lot of times, one of the things that first gen students think is that they're all alone. And as you can see, you are not the only first gen student that is struggling through this or succeeding through this journey. That there are 16 of you on this call, but there's so many more first gen students than just those 16. That about 30% of the student body at Arkansas Tech is first gen. And of the incoming class for last fall, 35% of the freshman class was first gen. So about a third of all, not only the entire student body, but just a third of the freshman class last fall was first gen students. So that's a lot of students that are kind of working through this process in just the way that you guys are. So definitely you don't want to feel alone through this whole process because there's so many people that are going through all of this. And then in this spring, so spring 2020, there were 362 students who are first gen students who graduated. And that, like, just the thought of that makes me tear up. Just the journey that everybody is going through, and that's your ultimate goal. That is graduating and being able to put a better life out there for you and your family, and being able to be an example for brothers and sisters or cousins. And we did last year, we had a mom and son graduate at the same time. So technically the son was a first gen because the mom didn't graduate, but they graduated at the same time with different degrees. But it was just a really cool story, and being able to kind of focus on that graduation goal is something that we always want you guys to keep in mind. But there are a lot of students here that are kind of going through your same journey. So we're excited for you guys to start this journey, but we're also excited to be able to kind of help you through this. Feel free to unmute yourself now, and or if you don't want to talk, you can go ahead and just type some answers into the chat box. But I just want to ask you guys a few questions to kind of figure out where you're at and what you're looking for. So my first question for you is, what are you most excited about? What are you most excited about for this journey? So if you want to talk and you want to share what you're feeling, feel free to unmute yourself and just chat with us. If you just want to put it in the chat box, that's totally fine. So anybody opening it up, what are you most excited about this? All right, it looks like we have some answers here. Decorating your room, okay. Classes, new people in the environment, freedom. Oh yeah, I like that one. Meeting new people, making new friends, going to a new place, um, getting out of the house and going to a new city. That's exciting. And just a new experience, meeting new people. Awesome. All right. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and share anything? You're eventually going to have to do this for your classes, y'all. So I need you to stop being scared.
I'm excited about meeting new people.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks, Sierra. One more person.
Um, I guess it'd be nice to have the freedom.
Okay. What kind of freedom? What do you, freedom from just your parents or freedom from just like a new environment?
Both.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, DeMarcus. Yeah, all of those are really good responses, and I would say they're kind of in line with everything else that I've heard from other first gen students as well as just new students that are coming in. So my next question, what are you most nervous about to start this experience on? So again, write it in the chat, or we're going to get two people to unmute themselves and chat as well. So whichever one you feel more comfortable with.
I'm nervous about my classes.
Nervous about your classes, Sierra?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody else who wants to talk.
I'm nervous about meeting new people.
Okay. In what sense? That you're not going to be able to meet new people, or is that you feel like they're not going to like you when you meet them?
Both.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I hate to tell you that doesn't go away even when you get into an adult. I have that same fear every time I go new places. So, and it's a lot easier to meet people and make friends in college than it is as an adult. So you are going to be just fine in that, April. Awesome. All right. So let's see what everybody else has here. Meeting new people, opening up about your feelings. That's definitely a harder one, but we definitely recommend it. The work, classes, COVID-19. Yeah, that's a big one. Math classes, the effects of the pandemic on my success. Oh, most definitely. Talking and opening up to people. So everybody thinks that that their concerns are their only concerns, that I am the only one that's nervous about classes. I'm the only one that's nervous about making friends. Clearly that's not true. Clearly there are so many people that have the exact same concerns as you guys that I want you to kind of just throw that out, that everybody is nervous about making friends. Everybody is nervous about classes. So when you're stepping in this and you're going in this, you kind of just have to jump sometimes because everybody else is also very nervous. So if you have two nervous people that are like, oh my gosh, I can't make friends, and you just sit there and stare at each other while you are in class or while you're at a function, whether that's a club or an organization, or you're waiting for classes to begin, you can't just sit there and stare at each other because both of you are like, oh my gosh, I really want to talk to this person, but what if they don't like me? But what if they do like you? What if that could be your best friend? What if that could be the person that's going to help you and challenge you and help and go through this struggle with you, but then also go through the amazing journey with you? That there's so many opportunities that I would hate for you guys to miss out on purely because you're kind of worried about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And if I kind of reach out and talk to any of these people. So that's kind of the first thing that I want you guys to get out of your head. And that's not just for first gen students. That is for all students coming in. I think it kind of makes it a little bit more complicated with first gen because I know my parents said, hey, this is what to expect when you go to college. Granted, they were completely wrong because they went to college 20 years before I went to college, but they still had that kind of background that they were able to share with me, where y'all's parents don't have that. And so you're having to reach outside of kind of that thought process of saying, who can I talk to now and kind of give me some background from this? So that's my next question for you is, since your parents aren't, since you're first gen and your parents haven't experienced this process with you yet, who are you reaching out to when you have questions? about college? Or is it your high school counselor? Maybe it's somebody in your church. Maybe it's somebody in your town. Maybe it is a counselor at ATU. Who are you reaching out to when you have questions? And I don't know who to reach out to is a proper answer as well to that. So either unmute yourself and answer that, or you can put your answers in the chat box. Okay,
Mostly I'm just winging it. But I asked my stepmom about certain stuff.
Okay, awesome. And she graduated from college, Sierra?
Yeah, she graduated from UCA.
Okay, perfect. An HU advisor, a football coach, older college friends, a teacher.
Yeah, I've been reaching out to the ATU counselors, and also I have a lot of friends who are seniors or who graduated from ATU. So
okay. Awesome. So that's really one of my pieces of advice for you guys as first gen students, is figuring out who your circle of trust and who you can ask these questions to, whether that is upperclassmen at ATU. Maybe you do have some people from your high school that are now going to ATU, then you can now reach out to Aiden said that a trusted teacher was being able to help him, so that's awesome. A football coach, advisors here at ATU, all of those are really good resources. While other students can definitely help you out with kind of the student experience, I would also make sure that you do have some sort of faculty or staff member, whether that be a high school teacher or a counselor or a coach or a faculty staff member at ATU, to make sure you're getting another perspective besides just a student perspective. That sometimes when students are coming here, they're like, oh my gosh, this professor is terrible, don't take this professor. And it was really that student didn't put the effort into the class, and so they got a bad grade because it wasn't because the teacher was bad, it was because the student didn't put in the full effort that they should have been putting in. So they're kind of giving a bad recommendation because they didn't like the professor. It also could be that the professor just didn't teach to their learning style. That a lot of times if professors are going to do lectures a lot, I like to write everything down. And so if they just do lectures, sometimes I get overwhelmed, and that's not my learning style. And so if you have a friend or a classmate that is kind of giving you advice on what teachers to take, or, oh, you have to join this club or you have to join this club, that's awesome. And you should definitely kind of listen to their advice. But at the same time, take it with a grain of salt, that maybe you don't want to join the public relations club, but maybe you're not into student government, and it's awesome that they are, but that maybe that's not something that you're interested in. And so you shouldn't feel bad by not wanting to join the organizations that they recommend, or liking the professors that they don't like purely because of a recommendation like that. Whereas somebody like a teacher or a faculty or staff member is going to be able to give you kind of a recommendation that's going to be a little bit less one-sided, and kind of cover a variety of different issues and a variety of different topics. And so that's kind of a way to kind of help you get you a variety of different pieces of advice, and then be able to kind of take it from there. So one of the ways that we are going to get you connected right from the very beginning is through our First Gen student organization. How many of you guys have been on the link? Thumbs up, or you can write it in the chat box. Some of you? Okay, so the link is a website through ATU, and if you literally just go to the main ATU website and put in the link, it's going to come up. And that is where you can discover all of the student organizations that we have on campus. And that's also where you will sign up for things. And the pre-orientation that you guys are doing right now, that is done through the link. So if you've done the online pre-orientation, or if you've logged into the online pre-orientation, then you're on the link. If you go onto the link and you look up First Gen Organization, or First to Shine, which is also what it's called, then all of you guys can go ahead and join the First Gen student organization. So automatically, you guys are already a member of a student organization. So that's something that you guys all have in common. That's something that when we kind of tell you during orientation, hey, the First Gen student organization is going to have a meeting, or we're going to have community time, or we're going to have a game night, that's something you can automatically come to, that you already know that you're going to have something in common with these students and you guys can kind of share about your experiences. But it's also a great way to just meet people that, yes, you have this in common, but you never know what else you might have in common. Or you can learn about all of these different new things because you guys obviously are all coming from very different backgrounds. That maybe somebody is really into anime, maybe somebody is really into e-tech, and wanting to and doing all of our esports video games, but maybe somebody also is really into soccer and they want to find somebody that wants to put together an intramural soccer team, and then you guys can compete against other people either in a competitive category or just a completely just for fun category as well. But there's so many other ways that you guys are going to be able to connect purely by just being first gen students and coming to the first gen student organization meetings, as well as community time and all of that stuff. So I do have a list of all of the first gen students that are going to be starting in the fall. So you're going to be receiving emails from me, but if you want more information specifically from the First Generation organization, and then I definitely recommend going onto the link and clicking and hitting that join button. And then that means I'm going to get an email and I will go ahead and accept that you are, accept your membership. And then you'll be able to just get all of the information about the meetings that they're going to be having and any fundraisers that they're doing or any service projects or all of that good stuff. And then the first time that you guys will actually be able to meet as a group is during the on-campus orientation, the Tech Connect that happens in August. August 15th is the first day of that. You guys will be able to come on campus, moving back into your residence halls if you're living on campus. If not, then you'll just come in and check in for orientation and participate in our commuter events. But you'll be able to then on, I want to say Monday and Tuesday, we have first gen community time. And that's literally just a time for you guys to get together. We'll have some snacks for you, all prepackaged, so they're totally safe for COVID. And then you'll just be able to kind of chat about what you're nervous about, what you're excited about. We'll have games that you guys can play. And so really just a time to get to know each other. So that's going to be really exciting. The other thing that I want to talk to you guys about is our first gen living learning community, as well as our first gen first year experience class. I know Sierra's in the living learning community. Is anybody else? Raise your hand in the living learning community. Awesome. Lydia, you are? Okay, that's great. That's super exciting. So we still do have spots available in our living learning community, and basically living learning community, we shorten it to the LLC. Basically what that is that students live together in one section of M Street, which is a freshman residence hall, and then they participate in all sorts of different activities that are specifically designed for first generation students. So you would be able to get connected with have a faculty connection, so you can connect with a faculty member potentially in your area of study, but also that faculty member will also be first gen, so they can kind of talk you through what their experience was. And we have all sorts of social activities plans and activities where you guys can connect with the other resources that the university provides. So that's a really awesome opportunity. So if you are already living on campus, and you are interested in joining the living learning community, then all you have to do is write in this chat box or send me an email, and I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in this chat box. tu.edu, mburke1@atu.edu. If you're already living on campus, we can go ahead and potentially get you switched over to M Street and get you into that living learning community. If you are not living on campus, but you are interested in kind of being involved in this, every incoming student signs up for a freshman experience class. How many of you guys have already met with an advisor and you have your schedule? Most of you? Awesome. So if you guys look at your schedule, you should see either a CSP 1013 class or a Tech 1001 class. That's your first year experience class. The CSP 1013, section 8, which meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m., that is the first gen section of the first year experience class. And so every student that's going to be taking that class will be a first gen student. So if you already have that Tech 101 or that CSP class on your schedule, but you want to switch into the first gen One, all you have to do is send me an email and I can get that email over to your advisor and get you kind of switched over to that class. If you already have a class at 1 o'clock and you need to make a switch, then we can work with your academic advisor to kind of switch that around. But if your 1 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday is totally free, then then that you can just kind of switch that over, and it would be and it'll be really easy switch. So the class is limited to 15 people. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would highly recommend messaging me sooner rather than later. Having just first generation students in a first year experience class is such an amazing experience, because not only can you just connect with them, but we can break things down a lot easier. We can break things down because everybody is still so brand new on this journey, that you're not like, oh my gosh, well, this person knows everything, and this person, their parents graduated from ATU, so I feel like I can't connect with them. Everybody in that class will be able to connect with each other, and we'll be able to kind of break everything down and really give you a basis to kind of succeed as a freshman, because you have that strong foundation. I will be teaching that class, so I'm excited. Lydia and Sierra are already in the class, so I'm excited to see y'all's faces now and be able to see you guys in August. But that's going to be a really cool experience for you guys to be able to connect with each other and be able to connect with other first gen students, as well as just kind of be able to have access to all of the resources within the campus. So if the students that are in the LLC will also be taking that first year experience class. And so if you are a commuter student and you're not going to be living, so you can't on campus, so you can't join the LLC, joining this first year experience class is a really good way to be able to connect with other people on campus that are also kind of in your same shoes. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions about that? Yes, no, maybe? Yes? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate the connection there. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like Montana had a question about COVID. Montana, you can either just unmute yourself, or if you want to write it in the chat, you can.
So I know that with COVID, everything's up in the air, and public schools in Arkansas actually just got pushed back to open later. And I was wondering if that's going to happen with tech as well. Like, are we still supposed to move in on the 15th? And isn't there like a 2-part move in now?
There is. You guys should be receiving an email later this week that talks about the move-in process. I don't know the official dates, but basically there is a week where you guys will be able to sign up for a drop-off time where you can come to campus, check out your key, drop off your belongings in your room, kind of set it up a little bit, and then you'll return your key, and then you'll go back home. So all of your stuff will all be on campus, and then you'll come back on August 15th, which is the first day of orientation, and be able to recheck back in and get your key, and then you'll be good to go. For those of you that live a little bit farther away, the week before orientation, so August 8th through the 14th, you'll actually be able to officially just move into your residence hall and then be there. You won't have to just drop your stuff and leave. You can actually move in and then stay. So it really just depends on which one of those is going to work better for you. I don't know when they're starting the drop-off days. That date hasn't been released yet. I do believe that they are planning on emailing you guys sometime this week and letting you know what that looks like. As of right now, Montana, we are supposed to start on campus for the first day of classes on August 19th. And that means that y'all's orientation will be August 15th through the 18th. So that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And all of that will be on campus, but we are taking a lot of precautions to make sure that everybody is safe. We want our current orientation leaders to be safe. We want all of us to feel safe. We want you guys to feel safe. So definitely, if you have a mask, that's definitely something that you guys are going to want to be wearing. I do believe that there is a possibility that the university should be giving you a mask. If you don't have one, there'll be hand sanitizer all over everywhere, and a lot of precautions are going to be taken just to make sure that we're putting everybody in a safe environment. you should receive an email from the university about move-in and what classes are going to look like in the fall, like I said, this week. So Randy, make sure you're looking out for that email. It's going to be to your ATU email address. So if you guys aren't checking that, that's your first mistake. So get on that and check your ATU email address, because that's where all of your information is going. Aiden, you had another question. What's going on? Go ahead and unmute yourself so we can hear you. Okay, here we go. Even if we are within driving distance, can we move in as early as August 10th? I want to say yes. It's really first come, first serve for the signups, and so when they send those out, I want to say there's like 15 students throughout all of the residence halls that are able to move in at one time, because they're only doing like one person per floor, just to make sure that everybody is kind of spaced out appropriately. So once the time slots are full, everything is full. So just to continuously be checking that email, and as soon as that email comes out, you guys will be signing up for the move-in through the housing portal. If you are a commuter, obviously you just need to make sure that you submitted your commuter exemption form. But you will have a commuter meeting on Saturday the 15th, and so just make sure that you're prepared for that. We have some goodies for you and all sorts of stuff, so you don't necessarily have to move back into you're not moving into anything on the 15th, but you'll still be participating in events on the 15th. So Stephanie, did you have a question?
So I'm supposed to be moving in on the 8th for marching band.
Okay.
And I was just wondering that, like, if I didn't get to that, like, form on time, if it would still, like, how would that work?
I would check with your band director, because there's a good chance that they have already given y'all's list of names to Residence Life, and so they can go ahead and work you guys in. I can't guarantee that, but that's what I would say would make the most sense. So I would check with your band director to find out if you guys need to sign up for a time on the 8th, or if they've already done that.
Okay.
All right. Montana had another question about, are they filling dorms to capacity this year? Also, is it true that there's no fall break? I've seen so many different calendars for this year on ATU's website. I don't know what's accurate or not anymore. I completely agree with that. So, and I think that's one of the hardest things about being a first gen student, is that sometimes you just don't know where to go for information. That you don't know what you don't know until somebody points out that you don't know it. And that's not just a first gen thing. Sometimes that's just a college thing. But they are filling dorms to capacity, but they have gotten rid of all of triples and quadruple rooms. So everything is just double rooms. And they are doing extra cleaning in any of the bathrooms that are going to be shared. So it's capacity, but it's not full capacity, since all of the rooms are just going to be doubles or singles. As far as no fall break, that is correct. Usually the second week in October is a fall break, but they got rid of that because we are going to be going completely virtual after Thanksgiving. So all of you guys that are coming to campus for classes, that the week of Thanksgiving, that's basically going to, like, that Monday and Tuesday are going to be your last days physically on campus. And then everything will move to a virtual after that, which is why they've gotten rid of fall break, to kind of account for some of the difference in those days. But once the actual fall semester starts, you'll be able to go on to the university website and just put in academic calendar, and that calendar will be completely correct, unless obviously, of course, COVID changes some things, but as of that moment in time, that will be correct. So Austin had a couple of questions. Will everything stay virtual for the second semester? Nobody knows that yet. They haven't released that information, what the second semester looks like. So unfortunately, I can't answer that. Let's see, Aiden, if we had a triple room, would that mean that we were split up? There's a good chance of that. So if you had a triple room, Aiden, then I would suggest just contacting the housing office and just say, hey, I'm trying to figure out, I had a triple room, but now since everything is doubles, who is my roommate? And all right, will we move back for the spring semester? Stephanie, hopefully I kind of already answered that. I'm not really sure. Nobody has released any information about what the spring semester is going to look like yet. And Montana, you can ask the question, what's the point of moving to virtual if we have already been on campus? In Arkansas, the flu season usually kind of gets really busy between October and November. And so by kind of moving everybody off campus, they're really trying to make it a point that we're trying to keep everybody safe from not only COVID, but then just the actual flu. And as well as if everybody is kind of leaving and going for Thanksgiving, who knows where people are going for Thanksgiving. That's also another reason they kind of cancel the fall break, is that we don't want students to go other places and then come back and bringing back all sorts of variety of germs, especially if you're going out of state and or out of country. And so once you guys are leaving and going home, then we want you guys to be able to stay there and in a safe environment instead of coming back to ATU potentially in an unsafe environment, since so many people have gone so many different places. So all right, so I know that there's a ton of questions on COVID, but actually later this week, July 16th at 1 p.m., we have a session specifically about COVID, college life and COVID-19, that one of our nurse practitioners from our health and wellness center is going to be leading that, and she's going to have a lot more information, a lot more accurate information than I will, because she is on all of those committees, and so she'll be able to kind of give you even more details. And so if you still have other questions or concerns about COVID, then I would definitely kind of suggest joining that one. As far as specifically like the first gen connection to campus, one of the things that I want to make sure, how many of you guys have started the online orientation, the online pre-orientation? Some of you raise your hand if you've kind of started it. Awesome. So if you haven't started that, then that's definitely something that I want to recommend, because that online pre-orientation will kind of give you all of the to-do list items that you need to make sure that you are doing. That sometimes first gen students are missing out on some of those items because they didn't know that they needed to do it, which is why we put all of those first gen items, we put all of those to-do list items together to really help out not only the first gen students, but all of the other students as well. And so jumping on that first gen jumping on that online pre-orientation and making sure that you have completed all of that. I do know that the alcohol EDU as well as the sexual assault prevention modules will be added next week. And so if you haven't those obviously you haven't been able to complete because they haven't been up there, but those should be added next week. The federal government kind of changed some of those regulations. And so it was hard for us we had to make sure that all of that information was correct before we could put it out there for you guys. So those should be out there next week. And then just making sure that obviously you're going to these tech talks, as well as you've signed up for a PO box if you are living on campus. And how many of you guys have uploaded your photo for your tech ID? Awesome. All right. That's what I like to hear. I know a lot of the current students are super jealous because they just got to take their picture when they came to campus and they couldn't control what their picture looked like. So all of you guys actually got to send in a picture that you're excited to have on your student ID, so you can now show off your student ID to anybody and not be worried about that picture. So that's something that's exciting for you guys. The other thing, there is an app that's called GoToU. And if you haven't downloaded that app, I would highly suggest you do so, because on that app, there is a connection there is a channel for just first gen students. And so you're able to talk to just first gen students if you want to ask a question of other first gen students, or if you just want to connect to other first gen students. So I would highly recommend kind of getting on there and downloading that. And then following us on social media. New students ATU, whether that's on Twitter or Instagram, is our social media handle, and we have tons of information for first gen students that we're going to be putting out on that. And so being able to follow that and commenting and connecting with that will really help kind of feeling connected to the university. I think that's kind of a big thing for first gen students. That's what my current orientation leaders say, that our first gen students, is that it was hard for them to feel connected to the university, because they just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, I'm first gen and nobody else is experiencing this, and I don't really feel like I belong here. That's something that I hear all the time from my first gen orientation leaders. They say, I don't really feel like I belong here. I'm not sure if this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I just want to tell you guys all right now that yes, this is where you are supposed to be. That by coming to this tech talk and by doing the pre-orientation online and all of that stuff, that's going to help you feel more connected to the university. And that's really going to help with those feelings of, oh my gosh, am I really supposed to do this? So continue doing what you're doing. You guys are doing everything right now. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but you guys are definitely doing everything right. All right, it looks like we have a couple of questions. Sierra, I haven't heard anything from my roommate. What should I do about that? Sometimes, you're not going to hear from your roommate until the day that you move in. I would just still continue, try to email them. I would try to, you have their names, so maybe you can look them up on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and see if you can connect with them that way. If you, if you're unable to connect with them, then definitely when you guys move in, you'll be able to kind of connect with each other on that time. Just because you're not connecting with them now, don't worry about, oh my gosh, maybe they're not emailing me because they don't like me. Take that out of your head. I know that's the first thing that a lot of you are thinking is they're not contacting me because they don't want to live with me. They don't like me. That's not true. A lot of times they're just really busy and they don't have time to connect with you. But once you guys get to campus, you'll have plenty of time to be able to connect. So I wouldn't worry about that. And Montana, you had another question about, I have submitted money on the pre-orientation. It's not showing that I've done it. So that's the one thing that on the pre-orientation that is not going to go ahead and that it's not going to get a green check mark. When it says go ahead and pay your bill on there, that's not something that we'll be able to do because I can't connect the pre-orientation to your student account. Because everybody's student account is different. So if you know that you have already kind of paid your tuition and fees, then you're not going to have to worry. You're not going to have to worry about that, and don't wait for that check mark to kind of show up. That's the other thing that your ID. Okay, yeah, your ID. We're getting that list this week, and so that will be connected. That will be connected next week, and so you'll be able to see that there's a check mark on that next week once we get that list from the ID card office. As far as money goes, that was one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys about. So tomorrow, July 15th, that is when all of your tuition and fees will be added to your account. So right now, when you go, as long as you're registered for your classes, right now, when you go into your student account, when you go onto OneTech, it doesn't have anything on there. It just kind of has an estimated tuition and fees. And so tomorrow, you'll be able to see what your tuition and fees will be. Between the 16th and the 20th, so basically for the rest of this week and the beginning of next week, you'll see that that any type of aid that you have is going to be added to your account. So if you have loans or grants or scholarships or anything like that, all of those will be added to your account after your tuition and fees are. So let's say that your tuition and fees are $5,000. If you have aid and you have $6,000 worth of aid, then you're good to go. It will cover everything, and then you're going to get $1,000 back after classes start. So that's awesome. If you have $5,000 of tuition and fees, but let's say you only have $4,000 of aid, you'll be able to see that this week and next week, and then you have until the first day of classes to figure out how you're going to make up that difference. There's a payment plan that you guys can get on if you decide that you need to sign up for more aid, or if you need to find a personal loan, or you're talking to different people. However you're paying for this, maybe you need to add some more hours to your summer job, so you can go ahead and do that. However you're paying for it, you'll have until the first day of classes to figure out how to make up that difference. So hopefully that helps, but definitely, today. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought the refund for lesson came at the end of the semester, not after classes start.
It'll come. The refund will come after the 11th, I believe it's after the 10th or 11th day of classes. And so if you have extra money on your account, then because of loans or grants or scholarships or anything, then that money will be sent to you through direct deposit as long as you've signed up for that. And it also depends on what type of scholarships you have. That sometimes scholarships are just specifically for tuition, and you can't get a refund on that. But if it's loans, then yes, you'll be able to get a refund on that. Montana, did you have another question? Okay. Kyle said with scholarship, does the amount of refund does it reduced? That basically, like I said, if you have $5,000 on your bill, however much aid you have, it will go ahead and just apply it to that. So if you have $5,000 in aid, it will take care of it. But if you only have $4,000 in aid, then you have to make up that difference. If you have extra aid, so if your bill is $5,000 and you have $6,000 worth of aid, then it would cover everything and you would have some extra. Sometimes your scholarship, like if you have a scholarship for tuition and fees, then it's going to just cover the exact amount and you don't have to worry about anything. You're not going to get anything back, but you're not going to owe anything. And so you don't have to worry about that. And so that's definitely something that you guys should be focusing on this week, is getting onto your One Tech account, checking out what those tuition and fees are, and then being able to figure out how you're going to, how you're going to be making up the difference, and or how you could use that refund to be able to kind of support your education. Are you going to need to buy books with that, or are you going to need to do some sort of do you need to buy a computer, or what is the best way to spend that money for educational purposes? Let's see, Montana, you said if you have a scholarship that can't be refunded, does that money just stay on your student account and roll over? Yes. That if you have any type of scholarship, it's not common, but I just want to make sure I put that out there, that if you have a scholarship on there, that let's say your scholarship is for $10,000, $5,000 is going to be for fall, and then $5,000 would going to be for spring. So a lot of times that scholarship is split up. And so there's a good chance that you'll just have extra money on your account and it'll be applied to the next semester. So what other questions do you guys have? I know we're kind of, this is for first gen and we're talking about first gen, but clearly we're talking about some other things too, and that's awesome. So I just want to make sure that we are getting all of your questions answered. Following us on social media is going to be really helpful, because as we get closer, we're going to be posting some videos of some of our orientation leaders talking about their experiences in school and being able to talk specifically about where to park on campus if you're a commuter, and how to get a parking pass, and how to use the cafeteria. What does that look like? And what is it like to eat as a college student? And I realize stuff like that seems so simple, but it's also a really big deal. That do I go breakfast and lunch and dinner? Maybe I want to eat at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Can I do that? Or do I have to eat at noon? So all of these questions that seem so silly, but they're also just very open questions that we're going to have the orientation leaders answer to help everybody kind of understand the process a little bit better of what it's like to be a student on campus, as well as being able to answer some of those questions that you have. All right. So Stephanie's had a question about a PO box. You reserved a PO box, but you can't remember what PO box you were given. When you get to campus, you'll have to go to the PO box anyway, because you'll have to pick up your key. So the post office is in the Young building. And so when you go over there, they'll give you your key and they'll be able to help you figure out where that PO box is located and give you the key and access to all that. So you don't need to remember it. You're good. Sierra wants to know about work study and how that works as part of the payment plan. So work study is basically a program through the federal government that if you, in your loan package, if you are awarded work study, then that means that you have to apply for a job on campus. And when you get that job, the money that you were awarded from the federal government is the money that you will earn as you work that job. So there are tons of jobs on campus that are work study jobs, because we know a lot of our students are qualifying for work study. And so then you can go ahead and apply for that job and then start earning that work study money. So let's say you have $5,000 of work study money that's on your account. That's not money that is just going to be given to you. You have to get a job on campus and you have to earn that money. So that's definitely something that you can't really use to pay your tuition or books or anything, but that's something that you'll have to get a job and earn that money, and then you can use it to be able to pay for your program. Handshake is the program that where all on-campus jobs are listed. So if you, again, just go to the main ATU website and put in Handshake, and you'll be able to create an account on Handshake. and then be able to look at all of the jobs. I know that we have my office, Campus Life, has put out a few jobs out there. So definitely just keep continuously go on there and submit your resume with all of your experience, and then you'll be able to kind of find a variety of different jobs. And another really good way to find jobs is just to go to activities and connect with people. Is that if you start coming to the First Gen organization meetings, and I'm there, and one of my colleagues says, "Hey, I'm looking for a student worker in my office. Do you know anybody?" I'm going to go to that meeting and say, "Hey, who needs a job on campus? I have one of my colleagues in the physics department needs somebody to work their front desk. Here's how to apply." So by going to more things and connecting to more people is really how you're going to discover different job opportunities and different ways to actually find a job on campus, more than just looking through the handshake website. All right, a couple more questions before we run out of time. When we move in on campus, do we need to pay for anything up front? Like I said earlier, your bill is due the first day of classes. So when you are moving in, your residence hall, all of that stuff is going to be on your student account. And if you have loans and grants and scholarships, it will be paying for it this week. But that first day of classes is when you'll basically just going to the student accounts office and being able to pay for that if you have if you still have a balance available. So kind of upfront, Sierra, but not really, because it's available right now. And you're not going to have to have a check to turn into the dorms or anything like that. When you go to move in, all of that will be done through your One Tech account. Did that help, Sierra? Okay, awesome. All right. Xandria said, "How do you apply for work study jobs?" So I answered that one. And then, are the job emails from siu.edu that appear in my spam folder real? I'm not sure what SIU is. I know it as Southern Illinois University. So I would say they're probably, unless it's connected to ATU in any way, I would say they're probably not real, Austin. That everything that you're going to get from the university about jobs is going to be from an atu.edu email address. But if you have any questions about any of those, my email address is in the chat. Go ahead and write it down, and then you can, and we can kind of look at that together. And I can say, yes, that information is real, or that office is real, or yes, that job is real. And then we can kind of work through that together and apply together. So we are almost out of time. So I want to make sure that I answered all of the questions in the chat. But is there any questions that you guys have about being a first gen student? After chatting with me for an hour, do you feel better or worse about coming here? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? All right, got a lot of thumbs up. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. Jesus, I like the whole hand's right there. It's not even just a thumb. He's got the whole hand. I like it. So we, in order to get credit for this tech talk, you do have to fill out the attendance form. So Claire's going to go ahead and put that link in the chat box here in just 1 second. And then as soon as she does that, you'll be able to, there it goes. You'll be able to click on that and complete that. I would suggest doing that on Google Chrome, just because the link processes Google Chrome much better than any of the other browsers. And I appreciate you guys joining. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in here one more time, so you don't have to go back and look for it. But my email address is mburke1@atu.edu. And I definitely want to be a resource for you. I know we talked about high school counselors and other students here, so I am now part of your circle of trust, that if you have any questions about anything, definitely feel free to email me directly, and we'll be able to either connect you to the person that can answer your question, or I'll be able to answer your question and get you on the right road. So I'm excited to see Sierra and Lydia in our class, but if you have questions about the CSP or the first year experience class, if you're interested in being in the living learning community, definitely send me an email. And then there is that COVID-19, that college life and COVID-19 question or session later this week. And so I know there was a lot of questions about that and a lot of concerns about that. So I highly recommend you guys joining that. Outside of that, thank you guys very much for joining us. I'm excited that you guys were participatory. So thank you so much for unmuting yourself and kind of learning how to speak up. That's definitely something that you got to practice. So I appreciate everybody doing that. And if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, thank you so much. Have a great day.